everyone. Welcome to this bonus edition of This is Whole Life. Episode 326 went a little bit longer than we had expected. We kind of wrapped things up, and then Ken wanted to say something to Andy personally that was just kind of nice, and thank you for preaching. And then we kind of got all nostalgic. It's been a while since Andy and Jeff and Randy and now Ken, the three of us before Ken, we did 5 years of the podcast together. So everyone got a little bit nostalgic, and we kind of got into a longer conversation. So instead of just attaching it to that episode, we went ahead and created that as a bonus content for this week. So as we go along, you'll hear that conversation now. And then don't forget, as you hear this episode, tomorrow will be Saturday, and it will be We Are Family, Arise to Awareness with Stanton Reed. So that will be tomorrow. So without waiting any longer, let's get you into that bonus content with Andy, Randy, Jeff, and Ken.
Who's going to be speaking this next week. I think it's going to be fabulous. And I did want to take just a minute just to say a thank you to Andy, not just for speaking this weekend, but I've had people ask me about, how's it been coming into a church where somebody was senior pastor for 37 years before you got there, and are they, is Andy still around? And I want to say something, to you, Andy, just about how much I have appreciated you. I could not have asked for a better transition from you. I could not have asked for better support from you. You have been nothing but amazing. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. What you've done over your tenure at this church is put together an incredible culture that I have been incredibly blessed to inherit. And I really don't want to mess up that inheritance. But I want to say thank you for that. But I also want to thank you that you've been available to take my phone calls if I had a question. And you've also been just amazing about letting me make my own mistakes and learn my own things on my own time. And I just really appreciate you. And I just really want people to know that. You are just truly a blessing to this church. You've been a blessing in my life, and I just want to say a huge thank you to you.
Well, thank you, Ken. People ask me on a regular basis, what do you think? What do you think? How's it going over there? I said, man, the search committee could not have done a better job.
I agree.
It's just a great match for our church, and come in and did a great series to begin with about our mission and vision, and just really help people feel at ease. And it's just, I think you're doing a great job. And after preaching last week, I'm so glad I don't do that every week.
There is that. I had a mentor of mine who said, nobody will ever understand the pressure of having to do a sermon every week until you've actually had to do it for a couple years on end. And there is something to, I worked as a reporter. I know what deadlines are like. I know what it's like to have hard deadlines. But nothing I've ever encountered kind of compares to knowing that Saturday morning at 9:30 and 11 at noon, you're going to have two sermons, and they're going to be out there for a while, and you need to come prepared and be ready. So it's
coming off I was talking to people at the back of the church as I was leaving from, I think it was from second service, and talking about it feels very different. I said, this was fun. I had a great time. I said, but for 37 years, the next thought in my mind is next week's sermon. Yes. I'm already thinking about it before I'm out of the building. Yep. And this week I'm like, okay, one-off.
It's like, I wonder if it's a little like the relief pitcher in baseball who comes in and pitches, for a specific batter, and then gets to go back to the dugout or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I thought you did a great job. The sermon was fantastic, right on point with the series, and just it was good to see you in the pulpit. Even I see you on the online for me, but it was good. Good to see you there. My daughter, by the way, watched, and she said you did a great job as well. So
wow, that's the highest compliment.
That is. That's a freshman in college saying that the Andy still got the heat. So there you go.
There you go.
That's a good compliment.
Well, that's awesome, because as someone who, of course, we did the podcast together for 5 years before Ken got here, and in the transition, it was always fun to listen to people go, is it okay if I say I miss Andy a little bit? Like, sure. Yeah. And the other people, is it okay if I say I like Ken really, really well on the podcast? I'm like, yeah,
That's
yeah.
encouraged.
Yeah, it is. And I'm like, there's no right or wrong answer. I'm like, you have two different people that come after it. And today I've just been reminded how much I enjoyed the episodes we used to do together and we still do together. And just watching you from the front row, because Sparkle won't let us sit anywhere else, that, it's two different people. And it was really a stark contrast just in style and different things, but it felt like home having Andy here. And I just feel like we've kind of picked up and keep that legacy, like Ken said, of the things that were already here in place. It felt really good to have everyone, and obviously Ken wasn't here, but still felt like everyone was there, and it was really family.
Yeah, but to me it's the packaging issue. When Coke changed the formula, their sales tanked. When they changed their packaging, they actually increased some sales. And I think for me, Ann and I, it's the same formula. It's the same. We believe the same thing, right, I think, to our core when it comes to who Jesus is and how Jesus has to have primacy, and that this church needs to be a family and look out for each other and care for each other. I think, and everybody has the package that God created them in. And when I was asked by the committee, they said, so what are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm not going to do anything. I said, I'm going to be me. This isn't a competition. I'm just going to be me. Andy is who he is. And what I told him is, I said, I hope you don't hire me if you don't think that this church will like me or feel like I'm right for it, because I am who I am. And at 47 years of age, I'm not super old, but I'm also not in a place where I really have a whole lot of interest in really reinventing my personality. God has made me who I am. And so I appreciate how I've been embraced. I appreciate how the church still embraces Andy. Yeah. And to me, Andy is our senior pastor emeritus. I mean, he's here, and I'm thankful for it. And like I said, it's just a great thing to know that you can pick up the phone and call and say, "Hey, Andy, I need a little history on this," or can you explain why I got reaction when I said that?
Where are the bodies buried?
Yeah. Well, and we know there's a couple.
I think it's really important that we recognize that if we had tried to keep this church the same, it would be the worst insult to my ministry. Because my whole idea was that we have no tradition. Our tradition, we have no tradition. Let's be developing and changing and innovating. And so, if someone said, "Well, we got to lock it down as it was when Andy was here," that'd be the worst insult to all those years. It needs to grow and flourish and alter and change and become whatever God has intended next.
Well, even in those years, there were a number of changes. As a matter of fact, looking at over the 30 years. There's a lot of reinventions.
That's awesome.
And that you have to do that if you're going to keep growing as an organization. When you stop growing, you start dying.
Yep.
And today, here we all are. We still consider ourselves family, and it was packed second service. It was like, how do you find a place to sit around here? So, it was a lot of people I know that I saw faces I hadn't seen for a while. That's like, ooh, Andy's preaching this week. Let's come and see Andy. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Support the home team.
See how much weight he's gained.
Actually, I thought you looked a little more svelte than when you were looking good. All right. Well, we are going to be looking forward to having Stanton here on the podcast. Hopefully we can work that out and make it available for his schedule, and it will be We Are Family, Arise to Awareness. So I'm looking forward to that. Stanton is one of my very good friends. I love the slowing sessions that him and Jordan Soliday are doing. I know that's coming up this Saturday. If you have tickets like me, I will see you there. So until next time, Andy, thanks so much for not only preaching, but coming by and coming to do the podcast with us. And that's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed the bonus content with Andy McDonald, former senior pastor here, and as Ken likes to say, senior pastor emeritus here at WholeLife Church. So we hope you enjoyed the content, and we look forward to seeing you all back here next week.